Good day. I'm the Reverend Ronald Nathan, and I'm the pastor of the Hogard AME Zion Church, which is found in Jackson, in St. Michael, the island of Barbados. Welcome to our meditation, a psalm a day. And today's meditation comes from Psalm 118, and I'm speaking on the subject potential and value. Potential and value. This psalm is so rich in its declaration of God's love to humanity, one that knows no bound or end, rendered as His love endures forever. His love, God's love, extends to all human beings. One of the characteristics of such love is the provision of opportunity to all human beings to bring glory to God through their efforts and the contentment experience when we are able to fulfill our purpose. So I wish to lift up the children, the differently abled, the elderly, and the underserved communities in these blessed islands of the Caribbean in today's meditation. The model of development we have chosen and committed ourselves to gives rise to unfair and unjust practices in our society in the areas of education, job opportunity, health care, and provision for the elderly. I want to testify that there is hidden potential, untold value in the strangest of places. Or to use the psalmist's words in verse 22 through to 25. The stone the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. The Lord has done this, and it is marvelous in our eyes. The Lord has done it this very day. Let us rejoice today and be glad. Lord, save us. Lord, grant us success. David is normally projected as this contented shepherd boy who would spend all his days in some beautiful field singing with his sheep, as he's presented as the greatest and most successful of Israel's kings. If we were to dig a little deeper and look into the scriptures a little further, we will also discover that David was isolated, marginalized, and discriminated against in his family. With a mother who was deeply religious, he was able to rise above the stigma of shepherd life and the stench of animal remains to become that great king. Hence his declaration, the stone that the builders reject will become the cornerstone. That was a summary, really, of his life. Those we overlook and discard in our society have gifts and abilities that can bring them into prominence. At this time every year, I am pained by our region's commitment to educational elitism that leaves tens of thousands of our young people aged between 11 and 13 years traumatized. It has become part of the fabric of our Caribbean society and policy of our national and regional education, that we have what is called prestige or good schools, and also bad schools, as they are called. Instead of exciting our children with the possibilities that would be open to them by this rites of passage, many of our children go into a state of depression as they hear their name associated with a so-called bad or failing school. They know once their name has been associated with a particular educational institution that they are discarded and sentenced to a life of mediocrity and most likely failure. We have got to get to a place where all of our children feel valued. Our children are our most valued resource and the future of our nations. But when we look at budget assignment and how much we put into education, we must question whether we really do know that our children are our most valued asset. So let's look at some of the things we do know. We know that socialization shapes a child's receptivity to opportunities, including educational opportunities. We know that early childhood education based on learning through play, reinforcement of self-worth, and opportunity to read establishes a solid foundation for elementary and secondary school. Placing our children in institutions that are under-resourced communicates to our children that they are undervalued. Placing our children in the hands of teachers who may lack motivation and who do not have the tools they need to teach communicates to our students that they are unappreciated. Not providing the emotional and psychological support required for developing a healthy self-concept is to create a direct pipeline from school to prison. And we do know that a curriculum that only recognizes academic subjects and marginalizes those who are gifted with vocational, technical, and creative gifts is to perpetuate classism. It is therefore quite clear for those who want to see that education starts long before school starts. All sectors of our society need to step up and assist parents, communities, and educational institutions with the task of educating our children. We are all familiar with that well-known African proverb that says it takes a village to raise a child. What we haven't given any attention to is what happens when the village does not live up to that responsibility. So you will not hear quoted the other African proverb that says the child who does not feel the warmth of the village will burn the village down. The stone which the builders reject has become the chief cornerstone. Let us reject the marginalization of our children and youth and invest our time, talents, and treasures in our children wherever they live, whatever ethnic group they are associated with, and whatever their economic status. The psalmist concludes his psalm by saying, "The Lord has done this, and it is marvelous in our eyes." The Lord has done it this very day. Let us rejoice today and be glad. May God bless you.